Today we're going to be taking a look at the most overpowered things in Battlefield 5, both past and present. There'll be 10 in total and we'll do it in a bit of a list format. There have been loads of overpowered and clearly broken weapons, vehicles and gadgets in Battlefield, and in Battlefield 5 since the release we have had loads. In some cases DICE still haven't actually fixed them, but for the most part they tend to work out something's overpowered and then patch it. For this reason there will be a few things in this list that have been patched and you can't use anymore, but there are some that you can spawn in with and cause a load of problems. We'll start out at number 10 and then work our way down to the most overpowered thing that we've seen in Battlefield 5. As usual, if you think I've missed anything, please leave a comment down below. First off, we have number 10. It's not really the most overpowered thing, but something that if you've come up against on the battlefield, you'll know it is very strong, and that is the Valentine mine clearers. There are two reasons why I've included these. Firstly, they are currently in a fairly balanced state. You can use them to destroy tanks in one hit or cause massive destruction to infantry, but they are single use, and then you have to go back and replenish your ammunition. That being said, the damage they can do to a single objective is absolutely immense. You can get massive point stacks. We've seen them in the top plays, 10, 11, 12 man feeds, absolutely crazy. I've also included them though because there was once a video on this channel recorded from my friend Eros where he used these mine clearers, somehow managed to get them glitched. It wasn't on purpose, but they just gave him kills for the entire game, and he got 150 or something crazy kills just from firing one of these mine launchers that got stuck. It was a bug for about a month in Battlefield, and some people picked up some massive kill feeds.
I'm curious because I think one of them is glitched. I'm curious where, if you know what I mean. See, okay, these are legit kills. That was actually just like the way it's intended.
Next up, we're moving on to a squad call-in, and it's artillery. Whilst you won't get a massive kill feed every time you use it, the effectiveness of sector artillery is there for everybody to see. It's not something that will get nerfed, and neither should it, but is it a feature I currently enjoy in Battlefield 5? No, not really. It's so damn effective at clearing objectives, you die to it all the time, and yes, of course, you do get the flares on the ground so you can avoid it, but in terms of clearing an objective, it's incredibly effective and one of the most overpowered squad call-ins you can have in Battlefield 5. If you think about a flag like the last one on Iwo Jima up on Mount Suribachi, that will win you the game, and if that doesn't define what is overpowered, or at the very least incredibly powerful, I don't know what does. At number 8, our first weapon in this list, it's the 12G shotgun. This boomstick has been making players cry since day one, and in typical DICE fashion, a lackluster community games feature has prevented server owners from inevitably banning or limiting its usage, like we've seen in previous Battlefield games. Shotguns will always divide opinion in FPS games. Sure, they should one-hit you within a certain range because they are shotguns, but they shouldn't have the fire rate that the 12G does. It can be spammed and reloaded very quickly, meaning squad wipes are incredibly easy, and the weapon was recently nerfed, proving that DICE knew it was strong, but they didn't nerf it in the right way, just reducing its range a little bit. It was needed, but still more work could be done. Certain maps, like Operation Underground, are just a 12G fest. At number 7, we have the pre-patch Kami tank with the dual AA heavy machine guns. If this wasn't a weapon that you tried out on the amphibious tank, especially on the Japanese side, well, you really missed out. This was another vehicle loadout that I made a video on, and the Kami tank with the AA loadout decimated both infantry and air targets. Just to prove its broken nature, DICE have since really nerfed the AA HMGs, and still, the tank is very strong. Before the nerf, it was a 2-shot body shot at ridiculous range on maps with varying amounts of cover. Of course, I'm talking about the Pacific maps. Great maps, but quite open. It was hilarious, and this thing was so broken. Next up, we have the mobile AA guns. I'm of course talking about the vanilla ones. Right now, they're not strong at all, so don't think I'm calling them overpowered. I'm certainly not. But there was a patch about 6 months ago, you might remember it, I did make a video on it, where the AA guns were buffed really heavily, and they would destroy enemy planes. It was absolutely mad. I've got a couple of clips in the background now. Now, I'm talking about Battlefield 4 AA style MAAs. They are massively powerful versus air vehicles, and in some cases it was needed. But on maps where you had loads of planes, like Fiel, you didn't have the mobile AA guns, so it didn't really balance out very well. They were also really strong versus infantry, although not a lot of people used them that way. Taking out a plane took around 1 second of sustained fire, but the really annoying thing about them is you didn't actually have to hit the plane in a similar way to the Fliegerfaust before it was nerfed, another weapon coming up in this list. You just had to hit somewhere near the plane, and the flak damage would destroy them. You didn't have to hit the target, it did massive damage, and it was very difficult to counter. At number 5 we have the Pacific Planes. Currently they're very strong, but I'm talking about maybe on release. These things with the incendiary bombs, 20mm explosives, flares, holy moly, they were insane. You would get 100 for 0, pilots on virtually every server, just incredible all-rounders, and arguably the most powerful an air vehicle has been since the jets on Battlefield 3. They were insane, and right now you do have the 532 pound bombs on the Zeros, which can completely destroy a tank in one run. Again, you don't have to hit the tank directly. I think the splash damage will do massive damage too. Just incredible. At number 4 we have the pre-patch AP mines. Remember these things? You could place 2 side by side next to a resupply station and guarantee yourself a kill if somebody set one off. It didn't matter if you set them off and ran, they would still kill you with the splash damage. A few examples in the background. Arguably the most annoying thing in the game for around 6 months since the release of them. Absolutely awful. At number 3, it's not really a weapon or a gadget, but it certainly is something that was overpowered in my opinion, and that's visibility. Before DICE decided to bring out a bit of character lighting to the game, spotting enemies lying down on the floor on certain maps was nearly impossible. JackFrags made a really good video on it and showcased how ridiculous the issue actually was. Team that camping enemy with a 1200 RPM MG42 or 12G shotgun and you've got the ultimate trap spider, waiting patiently on the floor for unsuspecting enemy players. Sure, there are those that believe using your surroundings to your advantage is a good thing, and I'll agree, but in this case, you're almost seeing invisible soldiers. Right now the problem is kind of fixed, because you can still use your surroundings to your advantage, but we do have the annoying 3D spotting in the game, so take it or leave it. You can't really get what you want from DICE. Some people are going to be happy, others aren't. But in my opinion, the visibility before the soldier lighting patch was completely broken. At number 2, we have the Fliegerfaust before the nerf. What a fly swatter this thing was before DICE nerfed it. It was absolutely insane. For someone like me who's played all the Battlefield games and experienced pretty much every single overpowered anti-air gadget that we've had, this thing took the biscuit. It wasn't a lock-on, it couldn't be countered, you just point and shoot, no need to ADS, and you kill the plane. The worst thing is as well is that you could team up with another assault player and guarantee a kill even if you only hit half the salvo. Absolutely insanely broken, but you could argue that it was required because the Pacific planes were also broken. Right now we have slightly nerfed Pacific planes that are still really strong and Fliegerfaust that are nerfed but still pretty good if you can aim them. I don't know, it's one of those again, it's not pleasing everybody but you can still use them. At number 1, I think you all saw it coming, it's the Ju-88. Come on. Being able to destroy the entire enemy team before they've even left their base is an absolute joke, and even after several big nerfs, the big German bomber still causes wide-scale havoc on Battlefield 5. If you ever played Fiel, they are everywhere, just destroying you, and the fact that they're also incredibly strong at taking out enemy air vehicles, a few examples in the background when I get fighters on my tail, it's just insane. These things will control servers. Great versus tanks, great versus infantry, can flatten buildings, can kill enemy aircraft, can take 3 people, so you've always got that option of jumping out and getting behind players, while fighters you can't really do that. This bomber is insane. Very manoeuvrable, quite tanky, and carries the most bombs out of anything on the game. As I said, DICE did nerf this a few times and they've tried to get it into a better place, but in my opinion, the issue is far deeper than that. we have a situation with plane balance where bombers are really the best thing to take on the game, and sure, you can go for a fighter, but you don't have the same sort of ability. So if everyone on your team takes bombers, it's just a horrible experience for infantry players. As the video title suggests though, this is the most overpowered thing in Battlefield 5. It still currently is really, really strong, but if you don't remember how it was a few patches ago, then I really suggest looking for a few videos on it. I've had experiences with this where it killed the entire team in the base before the game started. Such was the power of its bombs. So as I said at the beginning of this video, let me know in the comments if I've missed anything. This is my list of the top 10 overpowered things we've seen in Battlefield 5 so far. Hopefully we don't see too many more broken things with the upcoming patches that DICE will bring to the game, and hopefully with some new content. Maybe we'll see a few weapons that are good, but until the TTK changes, I don't think that will really happen. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.